Xbox versus PlayStation is really a tale that is as old as time. People will argue about it non-stop for ever now. It really has been going on for like over 2 decades at this point. People, like I said, argue about it, and there's really no right or wrong person in that argument. There's no console that really is better than the other. It's all just up to personal preference, but people will also argue about which console is going to do better in the coming generation. It's not something that people maybe think about as often, but it's definitely something to think about. You know, each generation, the Xbox versus PlayStation battle kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes it goes toward Xbox, sometimes PlayStation. We are at 9 generations of video game consoles now, believe it or not. I mean, obviously that's not official, but that is kind of the widely accepted notion. So like the 7th generation, for example, that was Xbox 360 versus PS3. I would say that went way more toward Microsoft. They seem to do a lot better during that generation. 8th generation was way different. Xbox really did not do well. PlayStation definitely thrived. And then this generation that we're on right now, the 9th generation, that is the Xbox Series versus the PS5. It's kind of in the middle. PlayStation's definitely doing a bit better, but you know, it's not a blowout. It's pretty much in the middle. So the big generation 10 is going to be coming out probably before we know it. I mean, we still got a couple years left, you know, maybe 2 or 3, but I would assume it will officially begin maybe by next year, if not the year after. Kind of depends on how you look at it. I'm quite sure that the new Nintendo console will come out next year. And speaking of Nintendo, you maybe noticed that I didn't mention Nintendo until now. Yeah, they're always kind of the oddball, you know, they really can't be compared directly to Xbox or PlayStation. They are kind of their own beast in a very good way. Now, with that being said, there was actually a new research report that was just released by a research firm called DFC Intelligence. Now, I'm kind of familiar with them, but essentially they do release these reports that it looks like are locked behind some sort of a paywall, but people write about them, and they also do release a couple different summaries about these reports that they release. So we do have kind of the general info of their new annual report that they released regarding the gaming industry and specifically the market for that, and how it will be looking next year and specifically in the next generation of consoles. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, it's one thing to just sit here and speculate on which console will do the best, but it's another thing to look at, you know, what an actual research firm says. Obviously, it's not guaranteed 100% accuracy, but it's something that definitely feels a bit more solid to look at and consider. So what they are saying is that for Generation 10, the absolute winner of Generation 10 will be, without a doubt, they are saying Nintendo. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever it will be called, will be the absolute dominant console of Gen 10. Now, as far as who will win between Xbox and PlayStation, this is kind of where it gets interesting. They are very confident in one part of this, but not very confident in the other. What I mean by that is, so what they're not confident in, like what they are kind of admitting they really don't know, is just flat out which console will end up doing better than the other. You know, who will win, PlayStation or Xbox? They don't know. But this is what is interesting. They are saying that whichever of those two consoles actually ends up losing the battle is not just going to lose by a little bit. They are going to lose by a very significant amount, and they are going to struggle extremely in the 10th generation of consoles. So in the summary, which I will link in the description, they say, quote, "There isn't room for more than 2 major console systems. Sony or Microsoft will struggle mightily in a distant third place, largely depending on which of these companies can gain early momentum." So yeah, essentially Nintendo is going to be in first place. We don't know who's going to be in second place. And then whoever is going to be in third place is going to have a bad time. Specifically for a few years. I mean, these generations last for like 6 or 7 years. So it's definitely quite interesting that they definitely don't know who will win between the two. But they do know that whoever will win, it's going to be by a significant amount. It's not going to be good for whoever loses. Now, my personal opinion, you know, between the two, Sony or Microsoft, who will win? I actually think that it is very obvious at this point who is going to win that console war. And I'm going to tell you, I absolutely 100% think that it is going to be Sony that wins it. Now, I like Xbox, don't get me wrong, and I think Xbox as a company is going to do pretty well, but they are going to lose the console war. And the reason for that is because I predict that in the 10th generation of consoles, Microsoft will sell precisely 0 consoles. Yeah, if you've been paying attention, you will definitely know that Xbox has really been branching out to become multi-platform. There's really no console exclusives anymore, and they're really pushing this idea that you can get the full Xbox experience on any device you're on. You can do it on a laptop, on a computer, a tablet, it really doesn't matter. At this point, I really think that besides the convenience factor and maybe it sometimes being cheaper, I don't think there's any reason to buy an Xbox if you just want to go the console route for Microsoft games. I think if anything, there will be maybe a sort of streaming device for the Xbox Game Pass and or the Xbox Store, and that's basically it. Maybe it's just like a $50 or $60, Fire Stick type of device that you put on your TV, and yeah, it just allows you to stream, Game Pass or whatever onto the TV or monitor that you're on. But even something like that, I don't think is going to exist. I mean, smart TVs are so big now, you really don't even need a device to stream these games. I know like Amazon does something similar. As long as you have a smart device and a controller or some sort of a controlling device, a mouse or a joystick or whatever, you can just stream games through Prime. I could see Xbox doing something similar to that. So yeah, that is just my personal opinion. I think that just by default, PlayStation will absolutely win the console war with Xbox. But according to this market report by DFC Intelligence, Nintendo is going to absolutely be in first place. And even though my prediction says that Xbox is just going to bow out of the console wars in the 10th generation, I definitely don't know that. That is just kind of by my hunch, I guess, from looking at things. What we do know now is that an actual research firm is saying that whoever is in third place will lose by a ton. So if I'm wrong and if Xbox is in the generation 10 of consoles, we'll have to sit back and see who is going to win that battle and specifically who is going to lose that battle by apparently a lot.